While the 2022-2023 football season officially ends today on Super Bowl Sunday, for many sports betting fans, college hoops in February and March is one of the most exciting times in sports. Whether you love college hoops or just want to pad your bankroll heading into March Madness, we have the perfect special. Starting today, get the rest of February with any Wager Talk or Sports Memo handicapper for only $149 each. So to finish off February for as little as $9 per day, head over to your favorite Wager Talk and or Sports Memo handicappers page and grab this limited time offer. This offer includes not only college basketball, but also any NBA, NHL, UFC, soccer, golf, and NASCAR that your favorite Wager Talk and or Sports Memo expert handicaps. No coupon is needed. The earlier you sign up, the more days you get.
Hey guys, welcome into Wager Talk today and Wager Talk TV, and happy Friday, guys. This is Puck Time, not Wager Talk today. I'm happy to be here with you guys, although of course you can hear that it's a Friday for me with that early mistake on the show. But looking forward to talking some hockey, guys. We have a great slate here today. I've got Carmine and Kevin with me today to break down these games. Hopefully going to get some props as well on a day that I believe is a great prop card. And Carm, I'm curious your thoughts on last night's results. I mean, some good ones, some bad ones, some high-scoring games, some low-scoring games. What are your thoughts here? And again, apologies for saying this is Wager Talk today. This is Puck Time, man. This is the best show on Wager Talk TV.
Well, it is the best show on Wager Talk TV. Wager Talk today is just a grab bag of different sports. This is where everyone comes to. They come to see your face, my voice. That's my face is made for radio, but my voice is good for the show. Andrew, yesterday's card was weird in a sense. You look at like some of the results, the Canes get off to a slow start on the night where they retired Cam Ward's jersey, but they eventually roll in that game, winning 6-2. Winnipeg Jets, the Jets were grounded in that one, and I didn't see that one coming either. I was surprised, but I shouldn't be surprised about the Jets. They continue to confuse me all year long. I've said I can't figure out the Jets, and I take them in regulation time, and they don't win. The Bruins did what I thought they would do. Nashville, I'm telling you, they're struggling. They're regressing, and they got a couple of tough games coming up. We could be looking at a longer losing streak for them. How can we not mention the Detroit Red Wings? First of all, it is now 12 straight games that the Detroit Red Wings have not trailed at the end of the first period. But not only that, they beat the Calgary Flames yesterday. I don't know how Sutter still has a job. He talks about his goaltending doesn't keep him in the game, and then he got up and left the podium. Let me tell you something. If John Tortorella was coaching the Calgary Flames, they would be in a playoff position right now. It's time for Sutter to go. The guy he's not even a sound clip anymore. That team, that Vidar starting goal yesterday, Detroit Red Wings, 2 points out of a playoff spot. Johnny Detroit, season ticket holder. Bobby Liggs, season ticket holder. They must be ecstatic right now. This team has 2 more games, Seattle Kraken, and then they play Washington, back in Washington, to close out a 5-game road trip that they're 3-0 right now. Other than that, the other ones pretty much win as expected, except for the St. Louis Blues being New Jersey. Other than that, I think it was a pretty good night of hockey. Kev, how was your night? How was your day? You had a 5% winner in soccer. It's a hockey show, but Man United.
Yeah, they got the job done, Carmine. I took last night off hockey, actually, although I wrote a free play on the Florida Panthers, Washington Capitals over, which I should have ended up firing on personally. I wrote a big article on that and the reason for the free play, and then I didn't even play it myself. But yeah, good night overall, 2-0. Had a winner in the NBA as well on Milwaukee. So, things are going really well right now. Cash 16 over the last 26 on the ice as well. So, looking forward to another big weekend ahead.
Great stuff, Kevin. We're happy to have you on, man. And yeah, I mean, some of these games, it's so frustrating. I always say to Carm that sometimes our jobs aren't even to pick the winners; it's to pick the right ones to release. We all don't give out 8 picks a night in the NHL, and as frustrating as it might be, I went 1-1 yesterday with clients, but between games given out here on Puck Time and Wager Talk today, it's frustrating. And Carm, I got to say real quick, even though I try and go with my gut and stick to what I said as far as the buy and sell, well, I'm sticking with my buy team, but I'll tell you what, the sell team, I haven't been selling them for long. Yesterday, one of the winners I had, or at least gave out on Wager Talk today, was the Detroit Red Wings team total over against the aforementioned Calgary Flames, like you just talked about. I mean, that price was just really confusing there on the Calgary Flames yesterday, and there's a lot of problems over there in Alberta in general, but especially in Calgary. So the one I'm really upset that I overthought, though, was the Boston Bruins one. That one was frustrating. I felt like I don't know why I even was like, no, it seems too good to be true. Like, I don't know about the number. I even said to you on the show, I was like, Carm, I don't usually lay 180, but today I probably would. And I didn't do it. And they win like 5-0 or something like that. But sometimes I feel like I just overthink these things. And I feel like I got to just trust my gut more these days. You're muted, Carm.
I am struggling this morning. It's Friday, and I guess I'm trying to save all my energy for the 6 and 60. Our producer today is going to, while this show is going on, he's going to pick out 3 names. He's going to tell me in my ear out of our live chat. And in the 6 and 60, if I get 4, only 4 of 6 right, I'm going to ship all 3 of those guys that he gives me the names of a Puck Time shirt. So I'm not going to go 6 and 0. I could go 6 and 0, but we only need to go 4 and 2 for us to give out some Puck Time shirts, because they're starting to collect some dust over here in the closet. So I need to send some of them out. But Andrew, I had some player props yesterday. I left some teams on the cutting room floor. And I always say that I don't like to leave some on the cutting room floor. The ones I left on the cutting room floor all lost. So I'm glad I didn't put them out for clients. But Aaron Ekblad, who I mentioned on yesterday's show, if you can't find a side or a total in the game, look for a player prop. And Ekblad had, I think 6 shots on goal. I think he had 3 in the first period. That was an easy winner. Josh Morrissey, I gave to my clients, he had 3 in the first period. I think he had 3 on his second shift of the game. So that was an easy winner as well, too. So let's see if I've got a player prop today as your show best bet. So let's see if we can hit that one.
Great stuff. And today's games we're going to look at here, the Penguins, Islanders, Dallas Stars visiting the Minnesota Wild here. We have the LA Kings, which was my buy team for this week, taking on the Anaheim Ducks. And, of course, the New York Rangers taking on the Edmonton Oilers. Probably the game of the night, I'd say here, fellas, a game that's definitely worth discussing. But let's start things off with the first game here of the night, the Pittsburgh Penguins, New York Islanders. We've got great odds here in this one. -115 for the home team, the New York Islanders, -105 for the visitors, the Pittsburgh Penguins. The total is listed at 6 right now, shaded towards the under, and money continues to come in that direction. Take a look at the overall picture here. The Islanders 27, 23, and 7 on the year. Penguins 27, 17, and 9. You take a look overall at these rosters. The biggest thing, obviously, was the talk about Bo Horvat joining the team and the impact he might have made with them. But I'll tell you what, Carm, the Islanders were my buy team last week. I'm happy they weren't my buy team this week. They have now suffered 3 straight losses after they had 4 straight wins. And Pittsburgh, well, they've won 3 of their last 4. They're getting their act together a little bit. But guess what? Those wins that they were able to gather weren't really against great teams. You know, maybe the Colorado one is pretty good. That was a comeback where they played horribly the entire game and then had a great 6 minutes to end the game. This is a big game for me for both clubs. What are your thoughts on this one?
It is a big game, but I'm looking at, and this is the crazy thing, Andrew, I'm looking at the total and I'm looking at the under here just because it's an Islanders under and any under that you're taking when the visiting goalie is Casey DeSmith, who looks like it's going to be right now for them, is a scary proposition. But in all honesty, 5 of his last 6 games, he's allowed 3 or fewer goals, with a couple 2s and 1s in there. The crazy thing is that you look at Eli Sorokin's numbers, and the guy is 17, 17, and 5. His goals against average is 2.40. More so, I'm looking at the home, his home numbers, Andrew. At home, He is 11-9-3 at home, a 199 goals against average, a 934 save percentage. And in those 23 games, the under is 16-5-2, a couple pushes when the total was at 6 with him. So, listen, anytime you take an under where you don't like the other goalie, I like Sorokin, where you don't like the other goalie, and the goalie is the Smith. It's just that maybe he's gotten so much action in goal for Pittsburgh that maybe he's gotten a little bit better. But listen, I just can't see this getting to 7 goals. Under 6 is the bet for me. If it was anybody other than Casey the Smith, this total would be 5.5. I think that half a goal might actually get us the win here. So under 6 for me. Kev, what do you think?
I don't want any part of taking the Islanders in this one. They went through that mini 4-game run, but 6 wins total since the start of the year. 2023, and data-wise, at least, this is probably some regression we're seeing from them that's been in the post for this team for quite a while. The Islanders are one of the biggest discrepancies between actual to expected goals differential this season at plus 15 goals. That's the 7th highest mark in the league overall. And one of the best indicators of regression that we have, when studying hockey, the Boston Bruins were minus 25 last year in expected actual goals differential. The New Jersey Devils were minus 42. So, you kind of knew, even without knowing anything else about those two teams, that they were very likely going to have far better seasons, this time around than they did last year. So the Islanders have been fairly fortunate this season overall. And the other major discrepancy on the numbers this year is, a top 8 rated opponent high danger conversion percentage in defense, but yet their defense ranks 26th in defensive XGA this year. That just, it doesn't stack up. And it's probably a testament to how good Sorokin's been in nets for the Islanders this season. So, the Islanders are definitely on my sell list. I won't be too harsh on them, as they did actually cash a big 5% play for me 3 weeks ago against the aforementioned Detroit Red Wings. But as a whole, this team looks like they're really struggling right now. So I would definitely take a look towards the Penguins in this one.
Yeah, to me, it's one of those things where when you look at, it's very similar to what I say when I talk about the Nashville Predators guys, where it's really tough for a team to win games when it seems like a really exciting and great performance for them is scoring 3 goals. That can't be, in this day and age in the NHL, something to pat yourself on the back about. But it seems like for the Islanders, that's a huge celebration, is getting to that 3-goal mark. It's kind of like a pitcher in the MLB getting to lasting 4 innings. That's something that you're expected to do. You need to go 5 or 6 deep at least, right? These guys, need to be able to put together at least 3 goals in order to compete these days in the National Hockey League. I mean, let's be honest, 3 goals is usually the minimum number you need to win a hockey game, right? And they had, of course, a couple of those performances recently during that win streak they had where they scored over 3 goals. But in their last 10 games, they've only surpassed the 3-goal mark twice, or they've only scored 3 or more twice. And that is just something that you can't really feel good about. So I'd have to go with the under as well. I think that despite some of the goaltending situation and defense stuff we've seen from Pittsburgh, this might be a good old-fashioned snooze fest right there in New York or with the Islanders. So I'll go with the under here in this one and hope to see a defensive battle between these two teams. Kevin, this is another one that's got a lot very tight odds here. We're pretty much seeing pick 'em between the Dallas Stars and the Minnesota Wild. 2 teams off a couple losses here in this situation. Teams that people think that have kind of actually built a rivalry over the past couple seasons. Totals at 5.5 here. What do you think in this game?
This is your favorite total, Andrew. 5.5 automatic under. We can go straight to the next game now. Don't need to talk anymore about this automatic play. But all joking aside, actually, there is plenty of reasons to like the under in this one, in fairness, as low as it is. Dallas own the second best defense in the league this season. They're allowing just 2.55 goals per game. on average. They also own the league's second best opponent shot conversion percentage this year as well, 8.17%. That's getting it done at the back in the face of Minnesota Wild team. On the other side, who ranked top 5 in defensive XGA this season. They're tied for second in high danger chances allowed this year as well. And the Stars have been absolute under machines on the road, going all the way back to last season as well. 21-7-4 mark to the under over the last 32 road games. So I'm probably not going to complicate this. You talked about that at the top of the show. 5.5 seems like an extremely low total in this era, but, in this instance at least, it appears justified. So, lean to the under for me in this one.
Carmen, it's one of those ones where you've got two great goaltenders, teams that play, pretty aggressively as far as their defensive ability. And I would argue that not just Minnesota, but even Dallas right now, they're kind of shorthanded as far as weapons on offense. It's only a handful of guys contributing. I all morning I was thinking to myself, don't overthink this one, and I think that we're going to see a similar style that we usually see with these two teams and see an under cash as well. I do lean towards the home team, but what do you think in this one, Carm? Are you with us on the under in this game?
Yeah, I don't think you can overthink it as well either in this one, Andrew. You look at this game and 5.5 the under seems like the right play in this one. You look at these teams and the way they're playing right now, and it's the only goalie confirmed right now is Gustafsson. Dallas will likely start Ottinger today because they play, I believe, Columbus tomorrow. So Wedgwood will likely play in that one. And you look at Gustafsson, everyone thinks, okay, well, Fleury's their number one goalie. Gustafsson, his last 13 starts, he's allowed 2 or fewer goals with a couple shutouts in there. It is hard to play an over when your goalie, one of the goalies is playing lights out for that team. And Minnesota's been a very good, I've said it from the beginning of the season, they're a very good under team this year. Last year, they just tried to outscore teams. This season, they're playing some very good defense. Which is what maybe they're setting themselves up for what they need to do in the playoffs. But under here for me, and the same thing, I lean Minnesota in a tight one. But I'm going to tell you, Dallas finds a way to get games into overtime. When they played the Bruins and we previewed that game, I said the price on the game going to overtime was plus 300. The price on this game getting to overtime, which it very likely could be, is plus 310. So toss a pizza slice on it. And if this game goes to OT, it's one of those Pavlos ones. I don't care who wins. It's in OT.
And there's definitely value on overtime with teams like this. And I think that obviously the lower the total, I would argue there's probably a better chance of overtime. Because I think that both these teams play very conservatively. They don't take a lot of risks. They protect the lead. And I'll tell you, if there's 5 minutes to go in the game, that's what I don't like about the NHL these days. If these clubs are tied at 2 goals apiece, I'm not saying they don't try and score, but anybody that watches NHL every single night, you can definitely tell sometimes when they're kind of holding back and waiting for that clock to die down because they know they're getting a point, which is why I think that the way it should be is you get a couple points for a regulation victory, couple points for an overtime win, and the 1 point for an overtime loss. To me right now, it doesn't make any sense that you get 1 point for an overtime loss and 2 points for a win in overtime. To me, too many teams with 5 minutes to go in the game, they play for overtime and they play for a 3-on-3 game, which is not hockey. And you don't see that in the playoffs, which is frustrating for me. But let's jump into the next one here with the LA Kings, Anaheim Ducks, a team that I was pretty high on for this week. And obviously a lot of it was to do to their schedule here with the Kings. But one thing funny about this team here, Carm, excuse me, is that this LA team, they used to be a big defensive team as well. We just talked about Dallas and Minnesota. I believe 5 of the last 6 games for the Kings have gone over the posted total. And a lot of the times it's been them doing the scoring in that one. I mean, they've outscored their opponents a combined 11-2 in their last 2 games, obviously off that big win against the Buffalo Sabres. But what are your thoughts here? LA Kings, Anaheim Ducks. Do you see an upset here, or do you think the Kings roll and get it done?
Well, listen, the Ducks love playing the Kings, or at least they used to when they were a lot more competitive, and they So those games used to be good games, but the Ducks, look at the way the Ducks are playing right now. Like they lost to, I'm not disparaging the Buffalo Sabres, but they lost 7-3 to the Sabres, a team that looked lifeless in their first couple games after the All-Star break, and they lose that game 7-3. They lost the previous game 7-2, 6-3 prior to that. There's a theme here. They are losing games by multiple goals, and I get it. The Kings might be a rival, but I think that's gone out the window now with this team. And Copley's playing well for them as well, too. I'm just going to look at this one way, actually a couple ways. Well, one I'm going to mention on the show. I think this is a very good game to take player props just because Anaheim, again, allows a ton of shots on goal. And the Sabres, a lot of the Sabres shot props hit last game. So I expect some LA ones to hit as well in here too. I'm going to take the puck line, laying the 1.5, and you're laying about 105, I think, in this game, maybe 110 at the most. There might be some plus money still available, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be all gone before this show is even done. So let's figure on minus 110, minus 115 on the puck line. Let's take the LA Kings to roll over the Ducks here. Kev, what do you think?
I'm in complete agreement. I'm not obviously going to shock anyone with this pick, but I do expect LA obviously to get the win tonight. Look, the Ducks have been an absolute dumpster fire. 20 goals allowed over the last 3 starts. They allowed 59 shots to the Pittsburgh Penguins last week as well, averaging 47.3 shots per game to opponents over those last 3 starts as well. So, I'm not sure plus 195 is enough incentive here. That's just not enough compensation by the books to get me to take out my money and put it on Anaheim in this spot. Even in a so-called rivalry game, I'd be looking for the keys to the safe deposit box instead, in fairness, to as compensation to risk backing Anaheim in this one. So similar to Carmine, we compare this down, get the LA Kings, I believe in regulation. I think it's around the minus 150 mark. On the 3-way money line. And, that's what I take in this one. LA is tied for 4th in the season in power play percentage this year. As you said at the top, Andrew, they've scored 11 goals over the last 2 starts. And, they're facing by far and away the worst defensive team in the league. It's not even close. So, LA in regulation looks like a good bet for me tonight.
All right, Andrew, before we get to the next game, and that's Kevin's thoughts on the Kings and the Ducks game, I want to mention, while it's a hockey show, I got a quick little promo for Kevin and I. So Kevin and I are doing the BOGO, the buy one, get one for the Champions League. It's the UEFA Pass, Champions League, Europa League, and Europa Conference League. I had an easy 5% winner this week, I think on Wednesday. Kev had one yesterday. It's up on either one of our pages. It's $149. You can get both of our picks through all 3 tournaments, right through to the finals in June. Until Sunday night, you can use the code BOGO20 to get an additional $20 off. So that's a package that is normally $298 that was reduced to $149. You can get it for $129 on either one of our pages if you use that promo code BOGO20. And I want to mention one other one because Ralph Michaels will always get me these stats. This is an absolutely fantastic stat for you people who sometimes love to throw these parlays out there where you include a minus 400 team. There's no minus 400s tonight, but there likely will be one tomorrow. This year, when a team is minus 400 or higher, their record is 16-4. Sounds like a great record, 80%. But the average line was minus 439. And if you bet every single team, minus 400 or over, you're down 1.5 units on the season. So you actually hit 80% and you're losing money. This is why you avoid those big dogs, Andrew, those big favors, Andrew. And like you find another way to bet them.
I thought you were saying like me because I'm a big dog. I don't know if you were saying like me, you find a different way to bet them.
Yo,
I thought
dog.
you were saying like me because I'm a big dog. Come on. But yeah, ultimately, I love those stats that Ralph sends in because it really gives people an eye opener as to what the negative impact can be and how many of those you have to win to be able to make money, right? Like you could hit a minus 500 and throw that in a parlay. But guess what? Every so many times, it's going to screw you over. And, that's just unbelievable to look at that record. And that's also why we preach all the time, not just about not just about winning percentage, about if you want to know if a capper is running hot, well, ask how many units they're up. You know what I mean? They might be at 7-2 in their last 9 games, but if they're laying $3 on all of their plays, it might not be a winning result over a long term. So definitely make sure you guys are checking that out. But especially in the NHL, stay away from those big favorites. Try and find a way with team totals, regulations, and stuff like that to get a winning bet down and stuff like that. But I share the exact same thoughts that these guys do on the LA Kings. They're definitely a buy team for me. And I love how Kevin just absolutely roasted the Anaheim Ducks. I just laid it out. And it's nothing personal. It's just all straight stats he's giving you guys about the Anaheim Ducks. They are just not a good team. Speaking of teams that, without a few players, they aren't really a good team. The Edmonton Oilers, Kevin, it's unbelievable. I mean, for many years, I've been waiting to be able to say that McDavid and Draisaitl and these guys have help on their team. But do they really? Can we really say that they have help? Because when it comes down to it, when there's a game where these guys don't go crazy, they do not have success. They do not play well. And now they're playing a New York team that's had a successful road trip so far. Obviously, Edmonton is kind of a couple games into their road trip. Edmonton not happy after their last performance. But New York, all of a sudden, is a much deeper team after adding Tarasenko. Whereas Edmonton, I still shake my head and wonder, can they do anything besides their top players performing? And that is kind of the big question mark for me. They're in bounce back mode, Kevin. Can they bounce back, or are you siding with the road team?
Well, you make a valid point, Andrew. I'd agree with that too, with the 2 stars in effect. But, look, in terms of this game, the books have a real conundrum on their hands because, can you make this total high enough? We're already seeing 7s out there. Both teams have been so red hot offensively of late. The Rangers scored 6 times in each of the last 3 starts. They're averaging 5.4 goals per game across their last 5 starts. And, we all know about Edmonton. They face an Oilers team in this one who own the best offense in the entire league this season, averaging 3.73 goals per game, number 1 in power play goals accumulated, top 3 in both shot conversion percentage, top 3 in offensive XG this season as well. And Edmonton are also 34, 16, and 4 to the over in their last 54 home games as well. So, Carmine might be the man for this. You would need some absolutely giant-sized cannolis to walk to the window here and back and under, even at 7, because these teams are just banging in the goals right now. So, if this one, I'm kind of torn on this, because if it does descend into a shootout later tonight, which, I'm pretty sure everyone believes that it will, despite all of the Rangers' newfound success, again, this is probably an overthinking strategy here, but, just blindly, if you're telling me there's likely going to be a ton of goals on Edmonton's home ice, 7 or 8 times out of 10, I'm going to tell you that they're going to win the game because of their offense. So, it is a tough one. Probably not a game I'm going to be involved in, but if I was playing this, I would probably be on the home team in this one. To bounce back with a win. I'm probably, lean towards Edmonton over the Rangers tonight.
Well, I think it's easy to say that they're definitely the more desperate team right now, or motivated team, and maybe it isn't the best spot by any means for the New York Rangers. I mean, Carm, the Rangers got to be feeling pretty good about themselves, man. Just 2 losses their last 10 games. They've barely lost in the last 25 days, let alone their last 10 games. They're playing really, really strong hockey. Like I mentioned, though, I keep saying this, but I'm going to keep saying it because it's good information, Carm. When the Oilers win games, they cover their team total. And you know what happened the last time they played? They hit their team total and they still lost the game. I will still stick to my guns and say the Edmonton Oilers are a team total over or pass team for me, because it doesn't make any sense to play them any other way. Because even when they win, they cover their team total. And sometimes you're lucky enough that even when they lose, their team total hits, just like their last game. So what are your thoughts, Carm? Are you with me on that?
Yeah, I am. A lot's also dependent on what we do with the goalies tonight. It's showing Shesterkin, but this is the first of a back-to-back where they play the Calgary Flames tomorrow. So we know Shesterkin's going to be in net for one, and Halak's going to be in goal for the other. I'd rather have Shesterkin in goal tonight because I'd want to take the plus money when they're playing the first of a back-to-back with the Rangers. The Oilers, I just don't get the Oilers. It is I'm going to show the kid side of me. The Oilers remind me of, they went like 9-0-2. It reminds me of the episode of The Simpsons where Homer grabs the skateboard and he's going to skate over the Springfield Gorge, and he's halfway across the gorge. And he's like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. They're 9-0-2. And then they lose to Montreal and Detroit, and he goes crashing down the side of the mountain, breaking pretty much every bone in his body. That is the Edmonton Oilers with their goaltending of Skinner and Jack Campbell. So I'm going to look for the reports to see who was in the Rangers starter circle this morning at practice. I'll keep an eye on that and then try and grab the plus money on the Rangers. I'm not going to get in front of the Rangers either, even in Edmonton, because they have won their last 6 games. They're playing extremely well right now. Why get in front of a team on a good run? And they're 8-1-1 their last 10. You can go further back, and that winning continues. They and that Metro division, them, Carolina, and New Jersey, is just an absolute killer division. Those teams just continue to win, and the Rangers might give Carolina a go for that top spot if they keep winning at this pace. So I'm not touching the total. I'm not touching team totals unless I see Halak is named as the starter. Then I may take the Edmonton team total, Andrew. But right now I'm leaning Rangers plus 105 in this game, provided Shesterkin in goal.
Goaltenders are really important in general, but especially in this matchup. So great stuff there from both these guys, and definitely can agree with Carmine about waiting to hear the announcements and the confirmation from the goaltenders. But it definitely is kind of a tale of two tapes here. I mean, you got a hot team that's barely losing right now at plus 105, and an Edmonton team in a super desperate spot at home, though. It's hard to disagree with taking the Rangers, but I think I would look towards the home team. But like I said, if I was looking towards making a bet on them, I definitely would just take the team total, thinking that potentially, even if the game loses for Edmonton, they could still put up 4 goals. As we talked about, I mean, Kevin said it would take a lot to want to take the under in this game. The bookmakers are telling us we're going to see goals in this one. So I don't think team totals are really out of the possibility here. It's time for the 6 in 60 segment, guys. We'll go through some games, or Carmine will go through some games, and then we'll jump into some best bets. I want to remind you guys all, you can find all of our work over at wagertalk.com. If you do enjoy the content you are seeing or listening to, make sure you download the Wager Talk TV app on Android, iOS, Roku devices, hopefully coming to more places very soon. But if you do enjoy watching all of our stuff, make sure you download that app, show us some love, leave a review on the Apple or Android devices. It really does help us out. Carm, over to you for your 6 in 60 segment for some plays for Saturday.
All right. Before we hit the clock, I will mention the 3 names that our producer has pulled out. 3 very interesting names, but we'll see what our producer Dan was up to with that one. But with that said, 6 games, we need to get at least 4 of them right for those 3 guys I mentioned at the end to get some puck time jerseys. I think I got a card where we should be able to get at least 4 right, but we'll leave it to the hockey gods on a Saturday. So, producer, whenever you're ready, here we go. All right. Colorado, St. Louis, Avs are finding ways to win minus a few players. And they look like they're in playoff mode already. I'm going to take the Avs money line here in St. Louis. Columbus and Dallas. Blue Jackets surprised the Jets on Thursday, but they're 5-15 on the road. Their last 12 of those were by 2+. Let's take Dallas puck line here. Montreal and Toronto, I'm going to take the under 6.5. The Canadians love to play the Leafs scrappy. They're 2-0 against the Leafs, and 5 of the last 6 have stayed under the total, under 6.5. Washington, Colorado. This is the Winter Classic at Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh, North Carolina. Canes just keep on winning. I'm not getting in the way of that. Canes in regulation. Vancouver, Philly, over 6.5. 16-3 to the overs for Vancouver, their last 19. Sens and Sabres. Sabres feasted on some ducks, and they're going to have some shark bites on Saturday night. Sabres plus money here. That's your 6 and 60.
I like that one, Carm. Great stuff, man. Always nice looking ahead. I think it's always a great opportunity to look ahead. It's the biggest thing I preach to people. If you're not making the bet overnight or not making the bet early, at least check the odds, because it's really important to see how things change, how the markets move. And between the three of us, especially Kevin and I, being on complete different time zones, we're checking these lines at complete different times of the day, Kevin, at least for us right now. I mean, the schedule for you when you're handicapping at the time of day with hockey is probably way different than me. I mean, what time is it for you right now, Kevin, where you are?
It is 25 to 2 in the morning.
Wow. You are a trooper. All right, let's wrap.
He still has a pint. He's got a pint of Guinness somewhere there. And Andrew, speaking of pints of Guinness, I'm wondering if Kevin hijacked our producer's Slack account, because look at the names that he pulled out of our chat to win the shirts. If I can go four to get at least four right in the 6 and 60. Carrie LeMay, John Finley, and Dane Stanton. I'm not sure if he's related to Giancarlo Stanton, but LeMay, Stanton, and Finley. Those sound like Irish names to me. Those are like guys that would get into a brawl at a Cork City game in Dublin or whatever. But guys, send, if I hit 4 to 6, send a message to our Puck Time Twitter account, or tweet out to our Puck Time Twitter account. That's a Puck Time WT. And I'll make sure I send you a DM, get your addresses, and get you some Puck Time shirts out.
Carm, the first rule of positivity is not using the word if. It's when. When you hit 4 out of 6 at least. Come on now. Positive thinking here. All right, Kevin, what do you have going this weekend for clients? What do you have going tonight? It's a busy weekend across all sports. So let us know and give us your best bet for the show, man. Then you can head to sleep.
Yeah, a ton of action up right now, Andrew. We got one top soccer player loaded up for today over in England. We got 5 soccer players already loaded up for tomorrow's card in Europe as well. You know, boxing, NHL, and all that stuff. And, you know, now's a great time to jump on board. Number 3 in total profit over the last 3 days. Number 1 in total profit in soccer over the last 30 days as well. And as Carmine said, we got that great, you know, BOGO offer up right now for this season's Champions League, Europa League packages. Takes you right the way through until June across all 3 competitions. So definitely head on over and check that out. In terms of a best bet, I like the Ottawa Senators tonight to win in regulation against the Blackhawks at minus 150. I've been fading the Chicago team for quite a while now, you know, pretty much since the last time I was on this show, I believe, where I was talking about them. You know, Ottawa, by comparison, have impressed me. They've won 6 of the last 7 games. Overall, their shot conversion percentage has been absolutely off the charts over recent games as well. And despite both of their 2 most recent wins going into overtime, Ottawa have won 19 of the 26 wins inside regulation this season. So I expect another one tonight. Ottawa, for me, inside regulation, minus 150. I think that's a fair price for them to get the job done within 60 minutes.
It's a fair price, especially against the team that they're playing. That's for sure. Any team they play, it seems to be a pretty big mismatch. Great to see you, Kevin. Appreciate having you on the show, and I hope you have a great weekend, man. Carm, what do you have for us for this weekend? Your clients, what's available for you over at wagertalk.com?
Yeah, just an NHL card right now, Andrew. I might have a little later on just some client plays. It won't be available for sale in soccer, but anyone with a 1-day all access or a 3-day all access. And I suggest picking up that 3-day all access to get all plays through Sunday, because I'm going to have big cards on Saturday, both in soccer and in NHL, with a possible 5% in NHL, and then Sunday as well too. So a ton of plays. As far as my show best bet, guys, I'm going to go to the Ottawa game tonight, and I'm going to take a shot prop, Brady to Chuck, over 3.5 shots on goal. You got to lay $1.40 to do that. He's been hitting this number since the turn of the year in 2023, and even going back a few games before that. I think it's like 14-6 his last 20. And I'm expecting a big night from the Ottawa Senators. And if they have a big night, he's going to be a part of it. So over 3.5 shots on goal as your show best bet. Guys, have an absolutely awesome weekend. Thanks for tuning in, and hit that like button.
Great stuff. Love those prop plays. Carm, you have been red hot with the NHL prop plays. Guys, for me, this weekend and tonight, I've got some NHL plays going today, but I've already projected some games I do like for Saturday and even Sunday in the NHL. So hoping for a really good 3-day swing. I highly recommend that 3-day pass. I have 4 plays in the UFC for this weekend as well, including a 4% best bet on a 12-5, 70% run with the UFC best bets. And speaking of best bets, my best bet for the show for today, how can you argue with an under featuring the Minnesota Wild and Dallas Stars, 2 great goaltenders, 2 defensive cores that certainly know how to play. But as far as the offense, well, we're not really seeing much of that out of these 2 teams. So you guys know the rules. When you see a 5.5, it's 5.5 for a reason. I'm going to go under in Dallas and Minnesota. To recap the best bets here on the show, Kevin has the Ottawa Senators in regulation time. Carmine with the Brady Tkachuk over 3.5 shots on goal. And again, I have Dallas and Minnesota under the 5.5. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.
While the 2022-2023 football season officially ends today on Super Bowl Sunday, for many sports betting fans, college hoops in February and March is one of the most exciting times in sports. Whether you love college hoops or just want to pad your bankroll heading into March Madness, we have the perfect special. Starting today, get the rest of February with any Wager Talk or Sports Memo handicapper for only $149 each. So to finish off February for as little as $9 per day, head over to your favorite Wager Talk and or Sports Memo handicappers page and grab this limited time offer. This offer includes not only college basketball, but also any NBA, NHL, UFC, soccer, golf, and NASCAR that your favorite Wager Talk and or Sports Memo expert handicaps. No coupon is needed. The earlier you sign up, the more days you get.